The prayer is in order to connect people with the heavenly. And this is something that, again, it saddens me to see all of these extraordinary testimonies to the faith of the people of this land for centuries and the abandonment of many of those testimonies. The loss of the sacred, and that people would rather fill their lives with frivolities and trivialities than fill their lives with spiritual substance, with things that are of an eternal nature, things that are ultimate concern. Now, if you look at the prayer, most Muslims, unfortunately, associate the prayer with performance. And this is a tragedy, because the prayer is not the physical movements. The physical movements are part of the prayer, a necessary but not sufficient condition to prayer. The real prayer is something that happens inside of one's heart. And that is why there are many people that perform the prayer, but there are few people that are actually praying. Because one of the hallmarks of the prayer, according to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is that the prayer, that one who consistently prays will become a virtuous human being. And the Quran itself says, "Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar." That prayer will constrain human beings from doing wrongs. And so those people that are performing the perfunctory motions of prayer and still continue to do wrong, they're in fact not praying, they're simply performing a mechanical action that could be done by a robot. A robot could be designed and could be prayed, and they'll probably come along with that, just like they have prayer watches and all these other things, so you can just have your robot do your 5 prayers for you, because you're too busy. I mean, that is not far-fetched. You might think it is, but you'd be surprised. So that is what the prayer is. It is a connection with the celestial. It is a reorientation. And one of the interesting things, if you look at the word orientation in English, it means to know where the east is. Orient is the east. And oriented people are people that know where the sun rises. And this is because in all traditional societies, people had a good sense of the cardinal directions. So one of the things that Islam does is it orients you always to sacred place. The prayer comes in fixed times, which is sacred time. And sacred place is to be oriented towards a sacred place. If you look at the churches in Scotland, many of them are facing Jerusalem, because that was the traditional qibla, or prayer direction, of the Christian peoples. So having a direction, a focal point in your life which orients you to what is true and eternal is again connecting people with the celestial. And what's interesting, in the Islamic tradition, the Kaaba is believed to be actually a celestial house, and the cube that exists in Mecca is a symbol of that celestial house that is circled by angels, which is also part of the worldview of Muslims, Christians, and Jews, that there's an angelic realm working in the world. Now, if you move to the zakat, which is charity, and one of the interesting things about charity in Islam, if you look in Judaism and in Christianity, charity is a private act. In Islam, charity is both a private act and a social act, because charity is actually collected and distributed by the state. And what that does is it actually ensures that poor people are given their due. Because unfortunately, many people begin to hoard and withhold as their connection with the celestial is eroded. They begin to hoard wealth. And this is something of the fear within people, because unfortunately people are motivated by fear and desire. These are 2 motivational factors that are constantly working within the human being: fear and desire. Now, the fear of poverty is one of the major fears of people. And so part of the Islamic tradition is that you relinquish that fear in your heart by trusting in a providential provider, a provider that is benevolent. And that's why the Quran says, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ لَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. There's no creature in the heaven or the earth except a provision has been apportioned for it.